the actual RSVP list was less, but she did almost triple the revenue as her holiday event with less offers. Why, hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, we are diving into a topic that I've maybe talked about briefly on the podcast before, but I wanted it to have its own special spot on my audio timeline, if you will. We're talking about in-person events and my philosophy and how I approach in-person events that is quite a bit different than how the rest of the industry approaches in-person events. So historically in our industry, in-person events have been, these types of events have their place, okay? Big annual events of sorts, okay? So whether this is for an anniversary celebration, whether this is your big holiday event at the end of the year, these are big shebangs that are not hyper-focused on any sort of topic. They're just kind of celebratory in nature. You might have all of your specials and discounts. For some of you who don't do discounts and specials and promotions very often, you might be like, oh, we do it once a year at this big event. It's everybody's invited. You're telling your brother, your sister, your friend, your girlfriend, and everybody comes to them. So there's those types of events that have been happening in the industry since I worked in the industry. It was first started in the industry in 2006 or 2007. And the other type of event that's very common is when you are bringing in something new. So your device manufacturer might help you actually build a lot of visibility and a buzz around a new device or technology that you are bringing in. Okay. And both of those events, I mean, they can be done really, really successfully, meaning financially give you a big pop, if you will. I'm going to be talking about a different type of event that I recommend all of my clients do. These are strategic events. And then I'm going to be teaching you my SPA framework for really successfully implementing these types of events. So if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, if you've been in my world, if you're a client of mine, you know that I really like to build everything with a certain type of human in mind. Okay. Now you may have more than one certain type of human that you're serving, but our marketing, our offers, our sales process, our in-person experience, we can make these so much more elegant and just incredibly epic when we really get micro-specific with who we are building our experiences, services, everything around, right? That is not a new topic. So we're going to take the same type of approach when we are thinking about our in-person events. So part of the problem with the other events that I mentioned is that those really are not sustainable to maybe do more than once or twice a year, okay? You could have a big annual event and then maybe you're not bringing in a new device or technology every quarter or 6 months. Well, hopefully you're not. And so with the type of events we're going to talk about today and the type of approach that I like to take to in-person events can be done more often and are done with a certain type of human in mind, okay? So we want to create events that are highly focused. So part of the problem with the other events is that they're exhausting. I mean, most of my clients, when I suggest to them that they do events every quarter, they're just they're thinking about the big shebangs, the big things, the big events that they do annually. And those just are not sustainable to maybe do once or twice a year, unless you have a significant team helping you throughout the year to do them. And so they're exhausting. There can really be discount focused. And so a lot of you will build them around a lot of different special incentives and what have you, which is fine. But again, like if you do that too often, you really teach your clientele or your patient base to wait for those types of events to get the specials or what have you. They tend to be focused on the deal, if you will. Like there's not much substance to what's happening to the event other than there might be swag bags. You might have a raffle. There's going to be special pricing. You might do demos, all of that jazz, which is fine. And again, like I said, is fine to do maybe, once a year. But I really want to introduce you to a strategic quarterly event type of model when it comes to in-person events for your spa practice, what have you. And at a minimum, you could do this a couple times a year, but honestly, it's very manageable to do them every single quarter because they are topic driven, boutique style events. They are smaller, more profitable, and they are very much more high value problem or solution driven. Okay. So you are going to think about a certain type of human or a certain type of problem or outcome, and then build the event around this topic. So I thought of some examples in the past that my clients have used. So a summer body sculpting event. I had a client actually who had a really successful get ready for summer event, right? So it was very specific, and it was body sculpting, weight loss, and then they had laser hair removal as well too that they had at the event. I've had clear skin events where it's all about their acne patients and clients. And so the whole event is focused on that. Doing events around like collagen, even like a contour and lift event. So they're very specific and they outperform oftentimes. I had a client who she had been in business for like 16, 17 years. And she had done her annual holiday event. So they had one event every year that was like their big holiday shebang. Okay. And she had, I think, like 11 or 12 different specials at this holiday event. And so we had her take our system and our in-person event system and use it in the summertime for an event that was all about contour and lifting. Okay. So she was like a facial rejuvenation focused type of aesthetic clinic. And so she was very, very nervous because we had her focus on just 2 to 3 special offers around the type of patient that was just interested in contour and lifting. Okay. And so she had way less offers. Okay. And she was nervous about this. She's like, the last event was really successful. And, we had 11 or 12 different specials and what have you. And so she hosted this event. She had a less people at the event than her holiday event. Okay. Because the holiday event, I mean, they had, she had personal friends coming and all the things, right? So it was less, like the actual RSVP list was less, but she did almost triple the revenue as her holiday event with less offers. And it's because, well, of course, now she had a signature menu. And so 2 to 3 of the offers were more comprehensive solutions, but it was hyper-focused. It was made for a certain type of patient that was very, very interested in learning more about contour and lifting, right? So you're going to potentially have less people actually come to these events, which means that it's smaller group focused. It actually is less exhausting. And then you're going to have it. Yes, you can still have some fun elements to really encourage and entice people to come. You could still, I think she still had a raffle. She still had like Prosecco and apps and all those things. She still had some of her reps like donate things for a raffle and what have you, but it was all very hyper focused. Okay. So this is more premium positioning. right? The big sort of shebang events, can you premium position those? Sure. There's ways to do it, but oftentimes they're not really positioned that way because you're doing discounts and specials on your entire service menu and all your product lines as well too. And so when you shift to a quarterly event model like this, where you're doing more premium boutique style events, there's a lot of benefits. One, this helps you capture. So say you've had your patients or clients who have gone through their initial consultation, and let's just take the contour and lifting example. And they heard from one of your providers and they were recommended, one of your contour and lift packages, and they weren't quite ready for it yet. And then they decide to come to this contour and lift event where it reinforces for them why they may be a great candidate for the contour and lift package, right? So not only does it help your current patients and clients become more informed about your unique expertise in certain things that they really might be interested in, but there's also a lot of benefit to you and your team actually presenting at these events as well, because it helps you and your team members have an opportunity to really position yourselves as authority and experts, because I recommend that you have a designated time at this event where they know they're actually coming to learn about the thing that is the topic of the event, right? And so it's hyper-focused, it's boutique style, right? And so they aren't as big and exhausting as these annual big shebangs. So I want you to think of it like when you are choosing a restaurant that is like a Michelin star restaurant, as opposed to going to like the Cheesecake Factory, right? When you choose like a very focused restaurant, it's more of a premium positioning, right? You don't need as many people. And so when you shift to this type of a model, it helps you be able to actually get even more visibility and exposure for the certain types of things that you want to become known for. And so I want to leave you with an acronym today to kind of take and just plant the seed and to really actually help you implement maybe incorporating a strategic quarterly event planning process in your business, okay? So the acronym is SPA, okay? So the S stands for solution, okay? You want to have your event around a really specific high-value solution that a specific patient avatar that you know that you love would be highly interested in learning more about, okay? The P stands for positioning. You want to brand it with premium positioning. Now, part of this is the fact that if you have been listening to this podcast for any time, you now have a signature menu of premium solutions. So this will help, right? But then we really want to position it for the certain type of person that you are looking to attract more of. And then the A stands for activate. We actually want to back-end engineer that event to 2 to 3 offers that are very specific. And sometimes it's one offer, right? Like I've done this with clients who have like one acne boot camp. Now they have 2 different like levels of the acne boot camp, so you could say it's 2 offers, but they have one very specific acne boot camp that they position their entire event around. So it's one offer in that case, but it's 2 to 3 offers at the most that you are activating them to actually take action on at the event. And then yes, I'm actually okay with you adding in some sort of value proposition at the event for them to take action at the event on those 2 to 3 offers. I prefer a value add as opposed to a discount. So let's say it's some sort, you're going to include the neck for everybody who actually takes action and purchases the package at the event, or you're adding in some sort of a product as a bonus. So this is how we can take sort of my entire approach around really being hyper-focused on certain types of patients and positioning yourselves as an authority and expert as what you do, even when it comes to your in-person events. That is what I have for you this week, my friend. I hope that in 2025 and 2026, that you consider taking a strategic quarterly approach to your in-person events so that you can position yourselves more premiumly, so that you can attract the dreamy patients and clients that you want to attract more of and ultimately become more profitable in the process.